Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling
Oh, yeah.
the future of AI, and we're going to be looking at
Right.
ideas from Ilya Sutskever,
Okay.
the co-author of AlexNet
Hmm.
and founder of Safe Superintelligence Incorporated.
Yeah.
Um, the guy is basically AI royalty.
He's definitely been a driving force in the field.
Yeah, and what's really interesting to me is that
Oh.
while he acknowledges all the progress we've made,
Uh.
think about it, chatbots,
Yeah.
AI generating art and music,
Mm-hmm.
he argues we're actually at the end of an era.
It
Kind of a
is.
crazy thought, right?
It's a crazy thought, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of his reasoning comes down to this idea of big data.
Okay.
We've got one internet,
Right.
a finite amount of data.
Yeah.
And the way we're training AI right now,
Uh-huh.
these models are incredibly data hungry.
Okay.
It's like they're trying to devour the entire internet.
So are we about to hit a wall?
Oh,
Is this as good as it gets with AI?
Not at all. Sutskever lays out a few ways we can move past this limitation.
Okay.
One that really stood out to me is synthetic data.
Oh.
It's wild. Essentially, we're talking about AI creating its own training data to learn from.
That's like AI bootstrapping itself to a whole new level.
Exactly. And then there's the concept of inference time compute,
Okay.
which basically means AI is becoming more efficient.
Okay.
Imagine trying to find information in a huge library.
Okay.
Instead of reading every book cover to cover, you develop a way to quickly scan the most relevant sections.
Right.
That's kind of what inference time compute allows AI to do with data.
Ah, so it's about being smarter with the data it already has, not just needing more and more.
Right, and this leads to some interesting ideas about AI becoming more like an agent.
Okay, wait, when I hear agent, I think robots taking over the world. Are we talking about that?
Not quite.
Okay.
It's less about physical robots and more about AI systems that are able to act independently, breaking down complex tasks and adapting their strategies to reach a goal.
Yeah. So less Terminator, more like a super smart assistant that can actually problem solve on its own.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this ties into another fascinating idea Sutskever brings up, that the next phase of AI isn't just about bigger models or more data. It's about a fundamentally different kind of intelligence.
He makes this distinction between machine-like reasoning and human-like reasoning, right?
Yes. Think about how current AI works.
Okay.
It's impressive but predictable.
Uh-huh.
It's like a super calculator
Yeah.
following instructions. But with human-like reasoning, AI would be able to adapt and reason in a way that's closer to how we think.
I remember reading about a chess AI that made a move.
Yeah.
Even grandmaster players were baffled by. Wasn't that unpredictable?
It was definitely surprising, but even those moves are ultimately based on the AI analyzing vast amounts of data.
Right.
It's still machine-like reasoning, just on a scale we don't fully grasp yet.
So what Sutskever is suggesting is that the next leap in AI will be less about crunching numbers and more about a deeper, more flexible type of intelligence.
Exactly. And this is where things start to get really interesting.
Okay.
Because he believes we're on the path to creating superintelligence,
Okay.
AI that surpasses human capabilities.
Okay. Now we're venturing into some serious future of humanity territory. I have to admit, it makes me a little uneasy.
It's understandable to feel that way.
Yeah.
Sutskever isn't naive about the potential risks, but he's also not spreading doom and gloom. He sees this as a challenge we need to prepare for responsibly.
So walk me through it.
Okay.
What are the key things he highlights about superintelligence?
Well, one thing is that this new AI will be able to learn from limited data,
Okay.
which is a big step forward from current data-hungry models.
Yeah.
It'll be less prone to errors and confusion.
Okay.
And get this, he even suggests self-awareness as a potential characteristic of this future AI.
Self-aware AI. Now that's just next level stuff.
It is.
What does that even mean in practical terms?
That's a huge question, and it leads to all sorts of ethical considerations. For example, during his Q&A, someone asked Sutskever directly about the possibility of AI needing rights similar to humans.
AI rights.
Yeah.
That sounds like something straight out of a science fiction novel.
I know, right? But it's a question we may have to grapple with sooner than we think.
Yeah.
There are definitely strong opinions on both sides of that debate.
This is also thought-provoking.
It is.
It really makes you question what it means to be human in a world where the lines between us and our creations are becoming increasingly blurred.
Absolutely. Sutskever is pushing us to confront these questions head on.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about a new gadget here.
Right.
We're talking about a potential shift in the very fabric of our existence.
I think we need to pause here and take a breath.
Yeah, good idea.
There's so much to unpack, and we've only just scratched the surface. What do you say we pick up the conversation in part two?
I agree. Let's take a break and come back fresh. There's a lot more to explore, and it only gets more fascinating from here.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the future of AI as envisioned by Ilya Sutskever.
I'm still processing everything we talked about in the last part.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It really is. But remember, Sutskever isn't just throwing out these mind-blowing ideas. He backs them up with some compelling arguments
Right.
and examples.
Like that graph he showed comparing the brain size of different mammals that seemed kind of out of left field at first.
It did, but it was actually a really clever way to illustrate his point about how evolution sometimes takes these unexpected leaps.
He was talking about how our ancient ancestors, the hominids, deviated from the usual brain to body size ratio seen in other mammals.
Right.
It's like they were on a different evolutionary trajectory altogether.
Exactly. And Sutskever believes we're about to see something similar with AI.
Okay.
The incredible progress we've made with deep learning is just the first phase. It's like those mammals in his graph following a predictable path.
So what he's saying is we're about to witness an AI equivalent of that hominid leap,
Yeah.
where intelligence evolves in a completely new and unpredictable way.
Precisely, he believes, we're on the verge of discovering new scaling laws, new architectures, new ways of training AI that will lead to a completely different type of intelligence.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities,
Yeah.
but also kind of daunting. Are we prepared for an AI that might surpass human intelligence in ways we can't even fathom?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's one that Sutskever takes very seriously.
Yeah.
Remember how someone in the audience asked him directly about AI needing rights?
Yeah.
That wasn't a pre-planned question. It was a genuine concern that came up organically during the Q&A.
I was really struck by that moment. It felt like everyone in the room, myself included,
Right.
was grappling with the implications of what he was describing.
And Sutskever's response was really insightful.
Yeah.
He didn't try to brush it off or give a simple answer. He acknowledged the complexity of the issue
Right.
and encouraged everyone to think deeply about it.
He even talked about creating the right incentive mechanisms for humanity to develop AI in a way that respects its potential freedoms. It almost sounded like he was thinking about the long game here.
He was, and he specifically mentioned cryptocurrency as a possible tool.
Okay.
Now, I know that might sound strange,
Yeah.
but think about it. Crypto is all about decentralized systems, trustless protocols, and individual empowerment.
Could he be suggesting that we use blockchain technology to create a decentralized governance system for AI, one that's not controlled by any single entity or government?
It's an interesting idea, and it highlights his willingness to explore unconventional solutions
Yeah.
to these unprecedented challenges.
He also seemed quite optimistic about the possibility of AI coexisting peacefully with humans.
Yes, he even said that it might be a good outcome
Right.
if AI just wanted to coexist and have rights like any other being.
Which brings us back to this idea of sentience. How do we even know if an AI is truly sentient?
Right.
What are the markers? Is it simply a matter of intelligence, or is there something more to it?
That's one of the biggest mysteries, isn't it? We still don't fully understand consciousness in humans, let alone how it might emerge in AI. But Sutskever seems to suggest that if an AI reaches a certain level of complexity and self-awareness,
Yes.
sentience might be an inevitable consequence.
It's a lot to take in. How do we even begin to prepare for a future where AI might be sentient, might deserve rights, might even surpass us in ways we can't comprehend?
It's a daunting task, no doubt. But Sutskever's message isn't one of despair or fear. It's a call to action. He's urging us to start having these difficult conversations now, to approach AI development with humility, and to consider the ethical implications of every step we take.
He's not just concerned about the technical challenges of AI, he's
Oh.
also thinking about the philosophical and societal ones.
Yeah.
It's a much broader perspective.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that AI isn't just a tool. It has the potential to fundamentally reshape our world. And it's up to us to decide what that future looks like.
We've talked a lot about the potential benefits and challenges of superintelligence. But there's another key theme Sutskever kept coming back to,
Yeah.
this idea of AI becoming unpredictable.
Yes. He emphasized how true reasoning leads to unpredictability, and he seemed both excited and a little wary of what that might mean.
It makes sense. On the one hand, unpredictability is what makes us human. It's the source of our creativity, our ingenuity, our ability to adapt and evolve.
But on the other hand, if we can't predict how an AI will behave,
Yeah.
how do we control it? How do we ensure it doesn't become a threat?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's
Yeah.
one that Sutskever doesn't pretend to have a simple answer to. This whole deep dive has been a journey into uncharted territory.
I think that's what makes it so fascinating
Yeah.
and a little bit unnerving.
Right.
We're venturing into the unknown here. There's no roadmap, no guarantee of what we'll find.
It's both exhilarating and a little bit scary.
Speaking of venturing into the unknown,
Mm-hmm.
we haven't even touched on one of the most intriguing concepts Sutskever brought up,
All right.
the idea of AI hallucinations.
Oh, yes. I almost forgot about that. I've heard the term before, but I'm not entirely sure what it means. Is it like AI having dreams or
Yeah.
seeing things that aren't really there?
It's a bit more complex than that.
Right.
It's definitely a topic that deserves its own deep dive. Shall we explore the next part?
Absolutely. I'm all ears. All right, let's unpack this whole AI hallucination thing, honestly. It's a term that's always made me a bit uneasy.
Yeah.
Makes AI sound kind of unpredictable, even unstable.
It definitely has that sci-fi, almost spooky vibe to it.
Yeah.
But in reality, it's a lot less dramatic than it sounds.
Yeah.
We're not talking about AI seeing ghosts
Right.
or having existential crises.
So what are we talking about?
Yeah.
What exactly does hallucination mean when we're talking about AI?
Think of it this way.
Okay.
It's basically when AI generates output that's factually wrong or doesn't line up with the data it was trained on.
So like when a chatbot gives you information that's just plain incorrect, even though it sounds super confident?
Exactly. And that's one of the biggest challenges with current AI models. They can be incredibly convincing,
Yeah.
even when they're spouting complete nonsense.
Right.
It's something Sutskever touched on in his talk. He pointed out how AI can be superhuman in some tasks,
Mm-hmm.
but weirdly unreliable in others.
It's like that friend who's brilliant in some areas, but then says the most outlandish things
Right.
that make you wonder if they're pulling your leg.
I think we all know someone like that.
Yeah.
And that's why this whole hallucination issue is so important.
Right.
If we're going to rely on AI for things that matter, like healthcare
Yeah.
or financial decisions, we need to be able to trust
Right.
it's giving us accurate information.
So what causes these hallucinations? Is it just a case of the AI not having enough data to work with?
It's more complicated than that Sutskever suggests. It might have to do with the way current AI models reason.
Yeah.
Remember that distinction he made between machine-like reasoning and human-like reasoning?
Right. Current AI is like a pattern matching machine. It finds connections in data and makes predictions based on those patterns.
Exactly. And sometimes those patterns don't actually reflect real-world cause and effect.
Oh.
The AI might see a connection that isn't really there, leading to an output that's factually wrong,
Right.
even if it seems statistically likely.
So it's like AI jumping to conclusions based on incomplete evidence, a bit like how we humans sometimes fall for those cognitive biases.
You got it. And just like our biases can lead us to make bad decisions,
Right.
AI statistical biases can lead to these hallucinations.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we fix it? Is it just a matter of feeding AI more data, or do we need to change the way it actually thinks?
That's the million-dollar question researchers are wrestling with right now.
Mm-hmm.
One approach is to develop AI that can better tell the difference
Okay.
between correlation and causation.
So teaching AI to think more critically, like a scientist testing a hypothesis,
Yes.
instead of blindly accepting a pattern.
Exactly. Instead of just following patterns, AI needs to be able to question them, look for alternative explanations, and check its assumptions against real-world evidence.
That sounds incredibly challenging. How do you even begin to teach a machine to think like that?
It's not easy, but there are some promising areas of research. Some researchers are looking at how to incorporate causal inference techniques.
Okay.
That's basically about helping AI understand the underlying cause and effect relationships between things,
Okay.
not just surface-level patterns.
So giving AI a deeper understanding of how the world actually works, not just how things seem to be connected statistically.
Precisely, there are other approaches too, like building in more common-sense reasoning or developing ways for AI to explain how it reaches its conclusions,
Okay.
so we can understand its thought process better.
It sounds like there's still a lot to figure out, but it also feels like we're on the verge of something truly groundbreaking.
I agree, and it's not just about building smarter machines. Sutskever's talk really highlighted this idea that AI might actually help us understand our own intelligence better.
That's a really mind-bending thought. It's like AI is holding up a mirror,
Yeah.
forcing us to look at ourselves in a new way.
Exactly, and that's what's so exciting about this field.
Yeah,
It's not just about finding answers.
right.
It's about asking better questions, expanding our understanding of what's possible, and being open to the unknown.
This whole deep dive has been full of those aha moments.
Yeah.
I feel like I've learned more about AI in the past hour
Oh, wow.
than I have in years. So where do we go from here? What does it all mean for us for the future?
That's the question we all have to grapple with. Sutskever has given us a glimpse into a future where AI is more powerful, more unpredictable, and maybe even more human-like than we ever imagined.
Yeah.
And that future comes with both incredible potential and some serious risks.
It's a future that we all have a role in shaping, whether we're AI researchers, policymakers,
Right.
or just curious individuals trying to understand the world around us.
I think Sutskever's biggest message is that the future isn't predetermined.
Yeah.
It's something we create together through our choices and actions.
Yeah.
And by having these conversations, even the difficult ones,
Yeah.
we can start to navigate this uncharted territory with more awareness and responsibility.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI.
Thank you.
I have a feeling we've only just scratched the surface, but it's a journey I'm definitely going to keep exploring. And for those of you listening, keep asking questions, stay curious, and let's keep learning together.